Welcome back, Adventurers, to another episode of A Hero's Guide to Asgartha. I'm Nick,
And I'm Chili.
and today we are doing another one of these set list reviews for Whispers from the Maze. So again, this is our video. This is our second one that we're doing. We're gonna see if it's good. Hopefully, it's good, but we're gonna see what happens. So kind of like what we did in Axiom, we've got Nick's picks, which are the little gems, my little diamonds in the rough. For I don't even know what we're gonna. I don't know. That sounds fun.
It's an Aladdin reference right there.
Yeah. And then Chili has the Spicy Card Award.
That's right. These are the cards that I think will see a fair bit of competitive play or can alter the gameplay or the game state substantially.
Yeah. So we're just going to get right into it. The last one was a little bit longer than I think we were expecting, so we're just going to go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First off, the heroes that you can expect to see in sealed. Correct?
Correct.
In the sealed format. Achadi and Basira. Kojo is a no-no.
So they've taken away Kojo. The whole token generation is a no-no for this format. But if you are playing constructed, you can use all three heroes, of course.
Sad day. We love Basira. Or we love Kojo. Kojo's great.
Kojo's great, but I think Basira's story is the coolest.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along into the first card, we've got Aoife, Fire Avatar.
That's right. The common is Scout 2, and from anywhere, you may have another target character lose fleeting and gain 1 boost. The rare is a Scout 1, still for 5/5, and the same stats of 5/4/5. You may have another target character lose fleeting and gain 1 boost. The main difference is that the Scout is 1 and not 2 for the rare. Both you and I have said these are game changers.
I think most Bravos decks are going to play this. That's genuinely, I think. And I think specifically in the rare. I think the rare is good enough with the Scout 1 that you're going to see a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, the flexibility this card gives you to be able to make a character lose fleeting and gain 1 boost. Basira would use this very easily. You can play a card, get Basira's ability on, make a card lose fleeting, which is fantastic. You'd also see it in Achadi. Achadi would use this very well because it allows them to get a counter by only paying 1 resource.
Yeah.
Or 2 if you have the common one. Fantastic card, even if you never fully use it for its character ability and you just use it for its scout.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, nothing else. We're just going to move right on because, again, we got to get through these.
Yeah, Scott, I just want to ask, why did you pick this as one of your favorites?
Oh, okay. First off, Aoife is one of my favorite names. I love Irish, Celtic, Gaelic, those kinds of names, Welsh names. They're such pretty names. So first off, I'm just glad that they did that. That's really cool. The second off, a Scout 1 ability on a 5/4/5 that loses fleeting and gains a boost. I mean, you think about this with Aklut. Again, you think about this with Basira. Like, most Basira decks are going to use this. You think about any card that's fleeting. My thing that I think about is Kaibara.
Oh.
You have like an Achadi deck that has this, and you scout in, like you play Kaibara and you scout in for 1 and have it lose fleeting, and you're just recurring that all the time.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Also, those cards that have seasoned, this allows an easier way of keeping that seasoned around. There's a whole myriad of ways this card could be used.
There's so much stuff you can do with this. I love this card. And the artwork is also just beautiful. So
I actually think this is going to be one of the most played cards from this deck in every faction.
I agree.
Also, probably one of the most played cards in this set.
Oh, we should have checked that with Kojo, with the Dutch qualifiers. We should have seen if Aoife was in there. So
we'll find out.
Yeah, you look at that.
I don't know if Kojo may be not as much as the others, but I'll have a look.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna move right on to Bliss Fan. So this card is actually kind of annoying. I may have. It's not phenomenal, but it's good. It is very good. So 2/1 for 1/1/0. This is a faction shifted out of Lyra. When a character in your reserve gains 1 or more boosts, I gain a boost. Now, granted, Lyra does this a lot better, in my opinion, than Bravos, but this is dirty. This is a dirty card. Because this is any card. So, like, you cup a sap with this thing gains a boost. Now, granted, it only gains, because again, it's the full stack. It doesn't gain 1 per boost. But like if you Cup of Sap and get 2, this gets a boost. Anything that gives stuff boost in reserve, this card is actually really good.
Yeah, it can be useful if your game plan focuses on making your reserve gain boosts.
Yeah.
Right. If you do that, then this is a fantastic card, especially when it's played from reserve, given it only costs 1. It doesn't give you much stats, but if you're able to get 1 or 2 cards with boost, and once again, if Aoife's been played, if Daedalus has been played, then there is chances.
Yeah, agreed. So I think this card is pretty good. I think you might see it in some decks. I don't think it's like phenomenal though.
Yeah. It's okay. Sorry, I said Aoife. I didn't mean Aoife. Only Daedalus. Aoife does not give a card in reserve.
Yes.
But if you have anything with passive abilities, then this gets it.
Yeah. And like I said, even Cup of Sap, you do a 1 with a Cup of Sap and you do this, like it's not a bad combo. So, okay, next we've got Bravos Excavator. I like this card, but I don't think it's like crazy.
It's interesting. The common cost 2 and 2 for a 1/1/3, so it's understated when you just consider that.
Yeah.
But it has something that no other card has, which is when I leave the expedition zone, for each of my boosts, another target character in your reserve gets 1 boost. So the more boost you have, the more boost you can give to another character. But it's a character in reserve.
I think this will be a good combo with Bliss Fan.
Potentially. Or anything that you're trying to keep in reserve for a while, fantastic.
Yeah.
And just be mindful of how you trigger the boost, because if you're trying to use your passive abilities, try to use those first before you give these if possible.
Yeah.
If there's anything like that has at end of day. Now the rare is actually exactly the same stats, but it costs you 4 from reserve.
Yep.
So this is where it costs a lot more, but it has
for a good reason.
Different.
I think this is a good reason.
So when it says, when I leave the expedition zone, for each of my boosts, another target character in your reserve gains 1 boost. It's exactly the same here. So there's no difference on that text, but it has a passive ability.
Yeah.
When you play another character, I gain 1 boost up to a maximum of 3.
Which is why I think that this would be a really good combo with Bliss Fan.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
but it's when you play another character.
Exactly.
You could play a ton of characters. The hard part is this is also a card that I think some people will want to sabotage, given it can grow out of hand, not just for Bravos Excavator, but for the cards that afterwards it can give boosts
Exactly. Yeah. So this card, again, you kind of have to like finagle it a little bit, but I feel like you're going to see a lot of stuff with this. If people are going to build it specifically around like giving stuff to boosts, giving reserve cards boosts. So I know somebody whose favorite card is this already.
Oh, nice.
So
nice. Do you know how they use it? How would they use it in their deck?
I have no idea. I haven't played it yet, but they said that it's their favorite card. They like this card's art the most. So
now, okay, that's good. I think it will see play. It will see play in specific decks. The next card that we're looking at, I'll let you explain it, but I believe, even though I haven't put it as one of my top 5, I believe this card has huge potential.
I would agree. So this is Bravos Pentacards. 2 from hand, 2 from reserve, 1 all. And it says, at night, if I have 2 or more boosts, sabotage after rest. Which, sabotaging after rest is really good. I prefer to have just a straight sabotage, but this, like, sabotage after rest is still really good to have because it's before. Let me see. If I can remember.
Sabotage after rest is after the characters have gone into
exactly.
Reserve. So I prefer sabotage after rest than traditional sabotage, unless your sabotage happens and then they still have more than 2 cards.
Exactly.
In reserve, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the common. The rare is 2 from hand, 3 from reserve for the same stats. The only difference is that it's seasoned. So this, anything that's seasoned, I think a seasoned tribal deck is going to be really interesting to see. Because you have a lot of really good cards that are seasoned or act like seasoned. Right? So the card that I think of immediately is Wukong. It's not seasoned, but it is seasoned-esque in my brain.
I think this is going to be a fantastic card, especially in Basira. Getting the second boost is very easy. You just have to get that first one.
Yeah.
right? If you can get that first boost out, you automatically get the second through Basira's ability. The fact that it's seasoned. If we even blend this card with a Aoife, which costs you 1 if you scout it, or 2 if you have the common, you're getting that boost very quickly, very easily, and it is seasoned to stays. You also disrupt a sabotage, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I actually think this card, it was underrated by me when we did this a week ago or 2 weeks ago. We started putting our things together, and I'm seeing it in play, and I'm getting hurt by it, which to me means it is a fantastic card, at least against the decks that I built.
Yeah. And I want to know what Pendikar means. I'm going to do some research on that because I'm very interested to see what like Pendikar means. So anyway, next card. We've got Burrowing Noosh.
So just on that, it's a Malaysian word for warrior.
Oh, so it's okay. Do you know if it's Malayalam or is it like Malay or is it?
It just says Malay.
So it's a Malay word. Cool. Nice. So Burrowing Noosh is our next card. We've got 1 from hand, 1 from reserve, 2/0/0. I believe this is also a Lyra card. No, this is Muna. Sorry.
It's a Muna.
This is a Muna card. And then when an opponent draws 1 or more cards or resupplies, it gains a boost. Simple.
This is fantastic against any of the Axiom decks.
Lyra.
Because we don't have much anchoring or sleeping within Bravos, the benefit doesn't help you at noon because you need to get to noon.
Yeah. I will say, though, the thing that this is good with is stew.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a stew on the field, which I think stew is 1. So if you have a stew and then a Burrowing Noosh, that might be pretty good because you basically just get to keep all of your stuff. But I agree, like without having a really good anchoring mechanic in Bravos, I don't think this is going to see a lot of play. So
yeah,
that's just me. That's my opinion.
But the thing with stew, it's if your opponent gets it, not if you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you have to be playing against.
Right.
Sorry, not the stew. That's the mess. If you're playing against the mess, then you might be able to get it. Target character gains 1 boost, which is fine. But the stew itself...
Doesn't stew give you... Oh, no, I think it's the rare stew gives you seasoned.
Yeah, but seasoned is not what you want. You want to be there at the end of night.
Right.
And staying to the next day when people draw and resupply. So against Axiom, it will be really useful. At the moment, as we saw in our last video, Axiom doesn't have much competitive presence at the moment.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it won't by the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next we've got Cuddly Corgi. Oh my gosh, dude. I can't wait to build an animal tribal deck. But Cuddly Corgi, 2/2, 2/1/1. When a character you control gains fleeting, I gain a boost. This is Bravos to a T.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
It does take up a rare spot, though.
Here's a question. Here's an interesting interaction question. I know this is probably going to take us a little bit longer. So if you play Milk, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a card that automatically comes in, gains fleeting.
Yes.
Right? So here's my question. If you would have a card that comes in that would gain fleeting but then loses fleeting, it still triggers this, right?
Yeah, it does. So you're saying as long as...
Because it's not like Garrett.
No, Garrett doesn't. Instead of gaining, it gets something else, right? Instead of gaining fleeting, it gets a
boost, I think.
That means it doesn't ever gain it.
Yeah.
If it gains fleeting but then loses fleeting, Hua Mulan, for example, says, I lose fleeting upon being played from reserve.
Right. It
that
loses...
kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, because it's the specific
but it still gains it to begin with and then loses it. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
The only thing with this is Bravos doesn't really work much from its reserve outside of the 2 cards there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can potentially get 2 additional boosts. Now, if you're lucky and you play a card that allows you to resupply, you may get a 3rd, but they're usually going to be limited to 2. But it's still very valuable given it only costs 2 resources.
Yeah. I like this. She hunts mercilessly for treats and snuggles.
And
Great
snuggles.
card. Love this card.
What are the other animals that are on there as well? They're the Muna ones, right? They're
spindle harvesters.
The spindle harvesters.
Yeah, they're spindle harvesters.
There you go.
So, good times. Okay, moving right along, we got Cup of Sap.
This is one of your favorites.
God, I love this card. I love this card. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I have been talking about this card nonstop within Bravos. It's a 1 from hand, 2 from reserve. Target character in reserve gains 2 boosts in the common. and for the rare, gains 3 boosts for the exact same cost. Granted, it's a rare slot,
Mhm.
but 1 rare slot for 3 boosts in reserve
For a single,
for
for
one
cost.
for 1, and you can play this twice for 3.
You can. Mhm.
That's 6 boosts for 3 mana.
For 3 resources. Now, what you're risking on this though is because it's a card in reserve. Do they exhaust it? Do they get rid of it?
You're right. So here's my point, though. Right, is that because it's so low, you can use this as a bait.
You could, yeah.
So that's my point. Is that if you can strategize this, the bait potential for this is so good.
Yeah, I think it's great. It also can be used as just a simple after you.
Yeah, this is a great after you. So I love this card. I think this card's going to be, and I might be wrong. I think a lot of Bravos cards are going to play this. Or decks. I think a lot of Bravos decks have the potential to play this.
Yeah. Now, I do believe that it would be more Basira and Kojo that use this than Achadi, because Achadi focuses on more expensive cards, but I could be wrong.
I'm not going to lie. In Achadi, I would play the common over the rare.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and I might be wrong. I think that every Bravos deck should be playing this.
Yeah. Not sure if you noticed, but the cup itself has got the emblem of the Bravos.
It's so good.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
I love it. And I like the bracelet too.
The bracelet in the rare?
Yeah, the bracelet in the rare looks so clean.
So the bracelet in the rare, I'm like, I wonder if that was the Haven Warrior, but it's not. It's not the Haven Warrior. She's got different bracelets.
It's probably the Pendikar.
It could be.
We got to do some lore looking. We got to do some artwork. Some
once they release it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, next card. We've got
next
Daedalus.
card's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So Daedalus. So Scout 1. So we have the Lyra faction shifted into Bravos. Scout 1 and played from anywhere. Target another character in play or in reserve, then roll a dice. On a 4+, we both gain 1 boost. That means the other character gets a boost and Daedalus gets a boost. And on a 1 to 3, it gains a boost, but Daedalus does not. One thing to be mindful of here is you have to make a decision on whether you discard, if you're using the Scout ability, whether you bring Daedalus into reserve first or you keep him on the field. If you're looking to get Daedalus to have a boost, you need to bring him into reserve first. Because otherwise, when he goes into reserve after getting the boost, he loses the boost. So make sure you put the timing of what you need to do right.
Yeah.
I love this card. I use it constantly, and I feel this is one of the more... Yeah. And the reason why I like it, in a Basira build especially, is you can get a boost. For 4 resources, you can boost a buttload. Now, one thing I noticed, though, is if you don't have a character in the field and you play this as a scout for an after you, but your opponent has a card in the field that's a character, they get the boost. You must choose if there is an active card available. You must choose it.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. But I love this card. But the other thing is, it's only 3. It's a 0/3/3 that gives you the potential of 2/5/5.
That's true.
Of stats.
That's a good point.
Okay. So
I mean, you play this with like Persephone too.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Or not Persephone.
No, Demeter.
Demeter. That needs to be in
forest.
Yeah. But this doesn't have any forest. But you can also play the card that allows you to even up your stats. There's a few things.
Wait, why was I thinking Demeter for this? I don't know. I'll think about
it. Comes in, but awesome card, Daedalus, and plus this whole set is centered around what he created in the maze.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Okay,
so moving along, we've got Duel of Grit. I love this card. First off, this is one of the duelists. This is one of the 7 duelists for Achadi. So automatically, that's a point up for me. Because I cannot speak more about this artwork because this artwork is just so freaking good. It has 3 artists working on this. Think about that.
Yeah.
So this card is so good in my opinion. So that's just there's that.
So is that Fiore dei Liberi?
It's Fiore de
Fiore,
Liberi,
right?
and it's
Liberi.
Achati.
Okay.
And
very interesting.
So let's talk about this. 2/2. It's a spell. First, they both have fleeting. Send a reserve target card with hand cost less or equal to the hand cost of a character you control. Right?
Mhm.
The rare version has discard. So it's the difference between sending to reserve and discarding, which, depending on how you play this, has the potential to discard anyway. Like you play this on a fleeting character, gets discarded anyway. This card rules in Achati.
Yeah, I would say, as I've seen the last 2 weeks of competitive play, this is the best Bravos card.
This is the best removal card, hands down, in my opinion.
Yeah. And if you're playing Achati, you're basically unlimited. Because more than likely, everything your opponent will play will be less than what you've got on the board.
Yes. Almost 100%, assuredly. This card is so good, in my opinion.
Yeah. But whether you play the common or the rare, it's still fantastic.
Yeah, either way.
And now you chose the rare because it gives you the discard ability, especially if it's something played from hand or like against Muna, anything that's anchored.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And if you're playing ramp the right way, even if you're playing the common, this and Achati in a ramp deck can be horrifying.
Yeah.
This is going to be such a good card. This is kind of like we already talked about. This is the best removal that Bravos has. I think every single Bravos deck is going to be playing this card.
Yeah, and they are. So the one that came
maybe not the rare, but
yeah. But it will be, whether it's the rare or the common, this card is being played.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
So I agree. I don't know what I was thinking not putting this as one of my top 5. I did not see what others saw.
Yeah. And plus, the best thing about it is that we get such a lore tidbit on the rare. Fiore was the first of the 7 blades to clash with Achati.
That's right. So we've seen our first one.
So he is the first of the 7 blades.
Okay, if you got to read his lore, read the lore about Achati, you're going to see that he is trying to get Excalibur. In order to get Excalibur, he must fight the 7 blades.
Yeah. So this is the first of 7. So at least, and here's the thing, we got the first one 3 sets in. So we've got plenty of time to get all 7. So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll stop gushing about this card as we move on to Encore.
So Encore, this is probably one of the few chances to anchor that Bravos has. So if you're choosing to create a mechanism where you want to anchor something, this will be a card you would need to have. The card needs to be fleeting or boosted, which in Bravos always happens from the boosted side, but it can gain anchored. The only thing is, while it's cheap for 2 resources, it has fleeting.
Yeah.
But you're using a rare slot.
Again, if you're building around it, so kind of like this with Burrowing Noosh, if you're building around it, it's fine. But I think that's going to be like the very specific thing is that you have to build around this.
Agree.
So and I think the fact that it has fleeting, that kind of also kind of killed it a little bit for me. So but here's the thing. This card has so much potential with it, but I don't think that a lot of people are going to choose to be playing it unless you're specifically trying to anchor stuff, which I don't like. I know Basira would love to do that. I know Achati would love to do that. I don't think it's going to happen that much though. And I might be wrong, but again, kind of like you're talking about, this is a rare slot.
Yeah, the only way I would see this getting some play, and I'll say this the same thing for most spells within Bravos, is if your deck is focused around seasoned, because what you want staying in your reserve are these seasoned cards, and then you just play spells to keep boosting those cards up or keeping them in the field. So that would be the other potential. I haven't seen many of those builds around. I haven't seen any of them be successful yet.
Yeah.
So
the artwork rules. Artwork is so good.
Come on, it's Crowbar.
Yeah.
It's a freaking champion.
So it's got the stage up in the top. Dude, this artwork is so good. Okay, next we've got Enhanced Prototype. Holy crap. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I'm going to play
5,
this.
6.
I'm going to put this in my Achati deck.
It is 100% on rate or above rate
Yeah.
at a bare minimum.
Yep. And so this is out of faction from Axiom. And it has, you may spend one counter. So specifically when it's played from reserve, you may spend one counter from a card you control or in reserve to ready 2 mana orbs. And it has a passive ability of when you play another character, I gain 1 boost up to a max of 3. Now, here's the reason why I picked this. This specifically says a card you control or in reserve.
Correct.
It does not say a card in play. You play this in a Chadi, you automatically get a down tick.
Correct. It's fantastic in a Chadi.
So
It's
good.
almost like double ramping.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get an easier chance of getting a card draw. You're reducing your resources that you're spending. So your 6 from reserve, you do have to have the 6 to pay it out, but then you get 2 back.
Yeah. So like this with like a Duel of Grit.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah, and you don't even have to wait for another character to be played because you just use a counter from your
You use it from a Chadi.
hero.
Yeah. Like you play this, you get the card
fantastic.
draw, right? You go down, you play it again, it gets the card draw, but then you spend the counter to go back down to 5.
Mm-hmm.
This card is so good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I will be disappointed in Bravos if most Bravos characters aren't playing this card. At least most
It's
Achadi.
expensive for some, Achadi for sure.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing it does is it gets away from the majority of the cards that are removal because it's 5.
Yeah.
Because it's 5, you have less chances of it being removed.
Yeah, I think Sticky Note Seal is the only thing that's really... I mean, unless you're specifically talking about like a targeted card, like, with hand costs and stuff.
Yeah, there's a few things you can do. You can banish and gate it, but it's
Right.
it's costly for everybody to do
Yeah.
anything against it. You don't get that cheap removal that most other decks have.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, Sticky Note Seal is probably the only good, like, I would say, equitable removal spell for this. But beyond that, yeah, it's going to cost you at least 4 in most cases. So this card rules. Such a good card.
Yeah, I think good choice. I didn't think of it in the way that you did, but I can see how this is a fantastic card.
Yeah.
All right,
Next.
that takes us to Fiore dei Liberi.
I think
It looks like a musketeer to me.
Yeah, that's what I think of too. I think of a musketeer. I haven't even looked at who this guy is. I say Fiore dei Liberi, but I don't know if that's true because I don't know. I think "dei" is Italian.
Yeah, it's Fiore of Liberty.
Oh, really?
So, I don't know what Fiore means, but Liberi means
I don't know.
I would assume it's that. Well, we'll find out from some Italian
we'll get
friends
it
soon.
So, 4/4 for 1/all. If it's boosted, it's eternal.
Takes us back to that eternal discussion we had a few minutes ago.
Yeah. I gain a boost per other character in my expedition and then send them all to reserve. And at night, he loses a boost.
Yeah.
So here is my qualm with this.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and again, I'm trying to word this correctly. This is hard because the only way that this card really shines, in my opinion, is if you're playing it from reserve. And let me tell you why.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you have it in reserve, you can cup a sap this, right?
Yeah.
And then you can have other things to give it boosts, right? So the problem is that this card has too much setup to be very good.
Yeah, I don't see this being a very easy card to keep on the field unless you're Basira.
Yeah.
Basira is the only one, basically, you would look to always give this card the boost, but you lose one every turn. You're already... the hard part is, if you pay 4 resources for this, you're already down. You're going to be down 1. If you don't have something else on the field, like you don't have a character there to begin with if you play Basira. You could play it with Buddha if you wanted to. Basically replace the Buddha's 2/2/2 with your 2/2/2 for 4 resources for nothing.
Yeah.
I really don't know how this can be useful. Now, of course, it doesn't mean it can't. Now, there are some things you can do where you can steal resources or steal boosts and put them onto Fiore potentially,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of. You're right. There's a lot of hoops to run through. Hats off to whoever makes this the central piece of their deck and makes it work.
Yeah. And also just really good. Jean-Baptiste, real good work on the art. This looks this is kind of what I expect for a musketeer who is just like, yeah, man, let's just do this. Let's have a good time. Just so much swagger with this guy. So this card, and as much as I want this card to be good, I don't think it is, but the artwork kind of makes up for it. So,
well, let's see if anyone can make it work.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know.
This might just be one of my tinkering decks where I'm just like, yeah, let's build a Fiore deck.
That's right.
So,
hey, why not, man? Why not?
Next, we got Hestia, Goddess of the Hearth. 4/4, 4/2/4, and it has a passive ability. When you play another character, you may pay one to give it a boost. This, I think, the common is. I mean, the common and the rare have the same passive ability. The only difference is that you can scout it for 2.
Yeah.
Which I think might be good.
But you get no benefit when you scout. That's the problem.
No, the benefit is that it's automatically in reserve. That's the benefit.
And but then you have to pay 1 resource for every boost you want to give someone else. So you play a character, then you're paying 1 more. The only character where I see this being potentially useful, is with Achadi, given you have potentially more resources at your disposal per day.
Exactly. Yeah. This might be anyone else thing for. Oh wait, no, to give it 1 boost. Okay, I was gonna say if you could give any other character a boost, I would say this would be good with Fiore.
You can only give the character that's just been played.
So
yeah, it's an interesting one. It's the only card that I've seen that has this special ability while it's in reserve, where you're paying addition to get something. Most of the others just trigger automatically rather than you having to pay a resource.
Yeah.
I'll say the rare, at least it's on par. If you do pay the 4 resources, it's 4/4/4, so you're not losing out on anything. You are slightly understated on the common, but it's only a little bit in Mountain.
So good card,
it's a tough one.
Like it's a fun looking card.
It is. This is part of the cryptic that they've got. Is that what it's called? Cryptic?
Yeah, cryptic.
The 3 cards. Yeah,
not a cryptid. It's not something that's hiding out in the woods. It's a cryptic. So,
and here the next card is actually one of the other ones.
Okay,
that's part of it.
Fun fact:
Junior Chef.
This is my wife's favorite card. She is obsessed with red pandas. She loves red pandas. I have an Axiom unique of this that is so stupidly busted. It is so gross. I love this card.
Is it cheese?
I
don't know.
Here's the thing. It's too wet to be cheese.
It looks like sap.
I think it's something to do with sap. I would think that maybe it's square. I would think like tofu, but I've never seen tofu that color.
Yeah. No, I've got no idea. So this is 1 resource from hand, 3 resources from reserve for a 1/1/1, both in the common and reserve, common and rare. The rare does have that when played from reserve, if it has 2 or more boosts, it resupplies, and they both have the ability while it's in reserve. When you play another character, I gain 1 boost up to a maximum of 3.
Yeah. I love the artwork.
It's beautiful, but it's all privy on playing another character.
Yeah. Do you want to know what the Axiom one and I know we've already talked about Axiom. Do you want to know what my Axiom one does?
Yeah, sure.
Every time you create a token, it gains a boost.
Oh, see, that's nice.
That's so fun. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love that card. And the artwork, again, is so good. It's so cute. I love the fact that they have red pandas. It's so good.
Yeah, I actually think this could be useful, given it's only 1 from hand, and you're almost guaranteed to get the benefit from the reserve.
Yeah, sorry about that. I jumped the gun a little bit.
No, that's okay. Given you wouldn't play it unless you've got enough boost to pay to do the 3.
Right.
There's no way you pay 3 resources for 1.
I'd really be interested to see how low to the ground you could get an animal tribal deck in Bravos. just to see like
I don't think there may be. I don't know how many animals there are, but
there
there
are
may be
quite a
few.
bit actually. You've got quite a few. So I'd be really interested to see, what you could do with an animal tribal deck, just to see how many 1, 2, 3 cost cards you could get out pretty quickly. So, anyway, I jumped the gun a little bit because I'm really excited for the next one because
Yes, it's one of your picks.
love this card in a Achadi. This card even in any deck, at a minimum, you're looking at 6. So it's a 6/6. So sorry, this is Lernaean Hydra. Lernaean Hydra is a 6/6, 0 stats across because it gains 1 boost per mana orb in your mana zone. The rare is 5/5. This card is so good. It's so good. I don't care what anybody says, because here's the reason why. Anytime you play this, you're either on curve or you're above curve, no matter what. Anything above the hand cost or the reserve cost, you're above curve automatically.
Now, the only concern I have with here is similar to Hydrocana, because it starts off as a 0/0/0.
Mm-hmm.
And with the introduction of Sapiuende and other cards like that, this set, there's a potential that if you lose your boosts or switch with another player their boost, you go back to having a 0/0/0 statted card.
Yes, agreed.
But the chances of running into that are incredibly low, but it's still a risk you have to be willing to take.
Yeah.
The upside is fantastic. The downside is it can be absolutely detrimental to your gameplay.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Do you want to hear something really gross?
Mm-hmm.
So I played Bravos during the set 3 starter deck, whatever the thing was called. I can never remember what it's called. So I played Achadi in that, right?
Yeah.
I had this thing come out as a 16/16 from reserve.
Did you do the one that doubled up your...
No, I Cup Sapped it twice.
Oh, jeez.
It was so beautiful. It was so good.
That's a risky play.
It was
You're
phenomenal.
like wanting the person to, come on, sabotage me. Come on.
Nobody touched it. Nobody.
Beautiful.
And do you want to know why? Because I did it all in the same turn.
That's awesome.
It was so good. This card is so good. I love this card. This card is phenomenal. I'm going to be surprised if most, if not all, like Bravos decks are going to be playing. Because again, you're either on curve or always above curve, no matter how you play this. No matter when you play this. This card is great. I love this card. Okay, this is...
it's one of your faves.
Yeah.
Now
Were you going to say something about Lernaean real quick before I jump the gun again?
No.
I'm just very trigger happy.
I'm good. So, Merry Reunion being the next card, 2 from hand, 1 from reserve. It is a spell, a conjuration. It has got cooldown, and it's resupply. A very simple resupply, and if you put a character in reserve this way, you may put it in your hand. I gave this one of my favorite card awards, the Spicy Card Award, purely because it's card draw.
Mm-hmm.
And Bravos needs it. Needs it a lot.
And not going to lie, you're more than likely going to pull a character.
Exactly. Bravos, most of their builds are 70 to 80% characters.
Yeah.
High, more or less. Something like that. So therefore, you've got a very high chance of doing it. And just so you know, even if you do not put it in your hand, you're still getting the resupply.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either resupply or card draw. Very, very easy. It is also a very simple way of doing it after you as well. So
yeah,
that's
I like
my
this card
reasoning behind this.
Like the artwork, phenomenal. I think it's really fun that you actually get to see Sierra's legs too, like really defined and like up close. Like the artwork's really good on it. Yeah. One thing I will say about this is this is going to be really interesting to see, because I think, like, the more I think about it, I think most of the stuff that I play is either, because I think the decks that I want to build, the only thing that aren't characters are probably going to be expedition gear and maybe like 1 or 2 spells. Maybe 3 spells in total in the new Achadi deck I want to. Oh, no, that's not true because I have a lot of ramp. Well, that's not true because now you have 3 djinns for 3 different djinns for ramp now.
Your characters can be your ramp.
Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be really good. I mean, here's the thing is that it's also a may. You may put that card into your hand. So you pull a
Mhm.
Mighty Djinn off of this, you're going to want to keep it in reserve. Or you play
Yeah, to
Tiny
get the
Djinn, you
+1.
want to keep it in reserve.
Mhm.
So,
Mighty Djinn, you probably want to get in your hand.
I mean,
But Tiny Djinn, you might as well put it in reserve to get the +1
Yeah.
and play it.
so yeah, I think you might be right though. I think this is going to be a great card. I think a lot of people might play this card.
Mhm.
So, okay, on to the
Alright.
next. I'm going to ask
The
this
last
time
of the
before
cryptics.
I, you know,
All good, mate.
hit
All
the button
good.
again. Pastry Chef. Kind of like you said, the last of the Bravos Triptych cards. 2/4/2, and it has played from reserve. If I have 2 or more boosts, draw a card. And then it has a passive ability in the common and the rare. Whenever you play another character, I gain 1 boost up to a max of 3. And then the only difference is that the rare has seasoned.
Mhm. So once again, if you go in the season strategy, so you'll need basically half your deck to be cards that are seasoned and half your deck to be spells that
Mhm.
boost in one way. It has potential. I love that it has card draw, but it is a pretty expensive card. 3 from hand, 5 from reserve.
Yeah.
So to get the card draw is not a cheap alternative. That is a big downfall.
I think this has potential again if you play this stuff with like Encore. Because again, like, boosted stuff, you get to anchor it. I don't know, man.
Yeah, the benefit here is you want the card draw, but it's an expensive card draw.
Yeah.
And only the rare gives you that. But once again, it could be part of your strategy to be able to do that.
Yeah.
The benefits of the passive ability across Bravos can be strong if you play a lot of cheap cards.
Exactly.
This
Which is
won't
why I'm
help-
thinking about
that doesn't
animals.
help with that format.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like the expensive stuff with seasoned like this, I don't know if it's viable. But kind of like you said, it's card draw, so people might try and throw it in there just for the card draw advantage. So,
Potentially.
yeah.
And that takes us into Sap Dispersal then.
Yeah. This is a fun card. Because
I do.
I don't know.
Yeah,
like this
if you're using your cup a sap, then your Sap Dispersal is almost like it's on steroids.
Yeah.
If you're able to use it.
This is where I get scared of this card, is if you play it right and you play this on Lernaean Hydra. Because all of those are boosts.
Yeah.
So that's where I get scared of this card, because it's each character you control and in reserve.
Yeah,
so
for me, yeah, it has huge potential. Like for me, where my mind went to using it is against Fen, because that's my hardest opponent in many cases. Using it against Fen with an Occlute. Because if they keep putting things into their reserve, you can play a Sap Dispersal that gives your Occlute more boosts, which allows more exhausting.
Ooh, I guess that's a good question. Is that so? When it says like when you gain 1 or more boosts, so when you double the number of boosts, does it double automatically or does it count 1 up?
No, it doubles them automatically, so he only gets 1 more trigger.
Yeah, so okay, cool. Then that answered question for everybody who was wondering that with me. So, but yeah, I think this card, this might be the answer for certain stuff like Burrowing Noosh, that kind of stuff, where it's just if you have a lot of stuff in your reserve and unplay, this might be the answer. But I don't know. So I think I might try and build this into like my animal tribal deck.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap to be able to double. Like if you think about it, you have towards the end of the game, you may assume you have 2 cards out in the field, and you've not played anything from reserve, but they're cheap and you can play them later.
Yeah,
you can get 4 boosts pretty easily. Even if you have nothing in the field and you just use this for cards in your reserve, that's 2 boosts. But once again, they need to have a boost on them already.
Yeah,
for this to work.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. I might just build like a nuke deck with this. Just not even bother with just having uniques. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Sap Infusion. This is interesting. 1/3. Do the following X+1 times, where X is my number of arcane counters, and target character gains 1 boost. Now this will trigger Occlute multiple times.
Yes, it will.
So
because you're doing it 3 times
Yeah.
if you have the 4 boosts.
And it has a passive
Actually,
where
4 times.
Yeah.
So this is it can be up to 4 boosts.
Yeah. So when you play a character, gain an arcane counter up to a max of 3. It has that same passive ability as a lot of Bravos cards in here. I think this has potential, especially with stuff like Aklut, where it cares about, per boost.
Now, would you play this over the, I guess, the spell that came in? Is it physical training, or would you play physical training?
Does physical training trigger Aklut multiple times?
Well, it doesn't trigger it multiple times because it gives them all at once.
Right.
But from a perspective of 1 and 3, physical. So you only give it one. You'll only ever be able to give it one from hand.
Right.
Whereas physical training rare is 3 and 3, but it allows, and you can give 3 boosts. Sap Infusion allows you to give 4 on the rare. But if you use the common one, it's 2 and 3, but you don't get the draw card.
Yeah.
So this is basically what would you use? I prefer having physical training in most cases because you get either 3 boosts at both times,
and you get the card
1
draw.
and potentially 4, and only the rare gives you the card draw, but then you have options for card draw.
Right.
So
let me put it this way,
or you can use both if you're looking to get as much capability of boosting.
Right. Let me put it this way. If you're playing stuff that cares about the number of times a certain thing gains a boost, I would play Sap Infusion only because it triggers
Makes
it
sense.
4 times, up to 4 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, I would probably play physical training only because of the card draw.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you said, and because Bravos already has a hard enough time.
Yeah.
So I think this is
double card
situational
draw as well. So
yeah. I think it's situational. I like Sap Infusion though. I do like it.
Yeah, me too.
So, okay, moving right along into Sap
Mhm.
Sniffer. Okay, let's go over the card first. 1/1/0/1/1, and this is the same from Axiom. From reserve, it has you may augment target card in play or in reserve. It's fine. I don't think it's worth the rare slot.
Neither do I. I don't
Simple
think it's worth a rare slot, unless your whole deck is about boosting cards in reserve.
Yeah.
Or boosting cards. Like in most cases,
Animal
you
Tribal.
would have boosted. Yeah. Basira would probably be the best one to use this for.
Yeah.
But it's a rare slot's hard.
Yeah.
I don't have much more to say on that one, actually.
Yeah. Again, Animal Tribal, this is good for Animal Tribal, low to the ground. You want
Mhm.
low cost animal cards. So maybe this, but I don't know. We'll have to see. So moving into Scholar's Vault. Now, this card is funny. I think this card is funny. Only because of Eros.
So, what you're saying, just from a card itself perspective,
yeah.
the Scholar's Vault is where Duel of Grit has been fought.
Oh, really? Oh, you
Yeah.
can see them in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, heck. That's pretty sick. That's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah. But it's also like, if you look at the rare from Duel of Grit, it's a top-down view of this.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Anyway.
I'm going to have to look at that. So, Scholar's Vault is a 2/2. It's a landmark, and it says, you may play characters with a hand cost 7 or more for 1 less.
Yeah, so this is a Chadi.
Yes, 100% a Chadi. If there's 1 or more characters of hand cost 7 or more in your reserve limit is increased by 1.
Mm-hmm.
This card is
pretty
so
useful.
funny.
It could be useful. It's only cost 2. There's a lot of uniques that require you to have a landmark. It's a cheap landmark that gives you benefit for a Chadi. I think it can be playable. I don't think Basira or Kojo would really use this much, but it may become a staple in a Chadi.
I'm 100% putting this in my Chadi deck. Playing this with Eros, playing an Eros for 6, and making so many people mad because you're playing Eros for 1 less. So basically, you get to play a character for 4 with Eros.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I want to do that so badly. I'm gonna put him in. I'm putting this in my Chadi deck. I hope you know that.
Well, I'm looking forward to playing it.
Okay. Next, we got Shorted Supervisor, Engineer 3/2. 2 all.
Mhm.
I think this is also Axiom.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
Axiom.
So we've already talked about this one. From reserve, if your hand is empty, gains 2 boosts. Otherwise, it gains 1.
Yeah.
It's fine.
From reserve, it's fine. As I said in the previous podcast or previous episode, the best thing about this card is probably the little matchstick girl in the background. I honestly, you're paying 3 resources for 2/2/2 doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You never want to have your hand be empty to gain the double boost. It's almost like flipped around. Like you lose a resource from hand.
It feels
but
like
you
a
gain
Hail
resource
Mary.
from reserve. So
This feels like an end of game Hail Mary if you've run out of gas.
yeah.
So I
Tough
don't
one.
know. Yeah, it feels weird. Okay, this card I don't know how I feel about it. I have a unique of this. So this
Okay.
is Spirit Wielder. So the common is 2/2 for 1 all, and it gains 1 boost per boosted character you control. The rare is 2/3 for 1/2/1, and it has I gain 1 boost per character for boosted character control, and then from reserve it also gains a boost for itself.
Mm-hmm.
So this boosts itself twice, basically, in the rare. I don't know how I feel about this.
Only when it's paid from reserve.
That's
you
what I'm
get
saying.
the
Yeah,
extra
when it's
boost.
played from reserve.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this card.
I don't know if I see Bravos playing lots of cards. You don't usually see them because there's not many tokens. You don't usually see 3, 4, 5, 6 characters
boosted
out
characters.
at once.
Yeah. Can you imagine if this was faction shifted into Ortis?
Yeah, if this was in Ortis,
every deck would be playing this. Are you kidding me? Every Gull-Ring deck would be playing this.
Yeah.
So
because it's boosted characters. Now, if you're playing in Sealed and Ortis is one of your factions, this might be very useful there with Gorang.
Yeah,
assuming you're allowed to use Gorang in Sealed, right?
Yeah. Again, this might be good for like Animal Tribal. Like if you're playing a lot of low to the ground, super low boosted characters,
that actually might work.
But again, the hard part is that you have to really build around it, and Bravos cares about getting big boosted rather than multiple boosted.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I'm sure that it has potential, but not sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, next we've got Sustenance. This is just funny.
Okay.
This is just a funny card. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. This is because this is objectively a much better Aja.
Yeah, draw a card. It's cheaper. If your whole goal is to ramp, you don't want to spend the 4 or 5 resources for Aja.
Yeah.
The only thing with Aja is you can use it twice to get the.
See, that's true though. My problem with Aja though is that it lets both of you ramp, but it doesn't give you card draw.
Yeah, so this has got the benefit. So two resources to draw a card with fleeting, and then you both increase your mana.
Yeah, which I don't know why you would ever want to do that. I mean, technically you're both above curve at that point for mana, but
like if assuming all things are equal and you have the same amount of cards in your hand and in reserve, if you play it allows you to play cards that are more expensive, whereas they can't. Right.
Yeah.
Because most people don't make a deck that is 3 or more in terms of cost of a card. If you're a Chardy, maybe instead of an average of 3, your average is 4 or 5.
That's
or say an average of 4.
Yeah.
So your cards automatically come in with stronger stats.
Yeah.
And they go to the end of their day without using all their mana. That's ultimately may happen.
The reason why I question this so much is because I play Gull-Ring. And so you never want to be boosting Gull-Ring in terms of mana. Never. So that's why I'm always like, this card, I feel kind of weird about this card because of Gull-Ring.
Yeah, I can see a Chardy using this a little bit. I don't know if any of the other guys will, because you're giving someone else the same access as you.
Exactly. Like, I would like to play this for the ramp. I'm just going to play Swiftgen over this.
Yeah.
So that's just that's me. Though.
And talking about Swiftgen, let's bring it out.
Guess what? Swiftgen isn't here. Now here's the thing. I would have given this If I would have had 6, this would have had it.
Okay, this was your other one.
I only had 5. This card is so unbelievably cool, and it's so unbelievably good.
All right,
I
so it's
love this
6/6
card.
for a common. It's 5/5/3. The rare is 6/6 for 5/5/5. Both of them have Scout 3, and both have Played from Anywhere. You may put a card from your reserve in your mana zone as an exhausted mana orb. On the common, the rare says you may put a card from your reserve in your mana zone as a ready mana orb.
Yeah. I love this card.
Mm.
Turn 1 this.
Very, very useful. Turn 1 you can't because you need to have a card. Oh, actually, you can.
It counts for
to
itself.
put the Swift Gin,
yeah,
into reserve.
But the artwork is so good on this.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what kind of other gens they put into this shenanigans. This is such a good card.
So
I
we've
love
got
this
Tiny,
card.
Mighty, and Swift so far.
So
1 per set.
It's a good card. It's good ramp. It's great ramp, in my opinion. So next card, we've got Talarian Skater, and you gave the common your spicy card.
I did. And the reason I gave the common this and not the rare, because I don't think it's worth getting a rare slot for just a single stat in Forest. So it's 3/3 for 2/2 in the common, 3/3 for 3/2 in the rare. Both of them have Scout 1, and the difference between them both, if there's a common, is Played from Anywhere. Target character gains 1 boost. In a Basira deck, this is fantastic. It's also very good to just ensure you're able to win a side if you're tied. And the rare one is target character in play or in reserve gains 1 boost. So if your strategy is about reserve manipulation and getting those boosts in reserve, maybe that's what you'd give it to. And you can even give it to itself, I guess. No, actually you can't, because it has to be in reserve when you're playing it. I like the rare. I think it's the common. I think it's very useful.
Well, hold on.
It's a quick after you.
No, because you would be able to target itself for
you scout it first and then give the boost.
But only
just
in the
same
rare.
thing as Daedalus. Yeah, only in the rare.
Yeah, I don't know if that'd be worth it, but it's.
I don't know, but if you have nothing else, you might as well do it for you. But as I said, it's more of an after you.
Yeah.
Equivalent of just 1 resource.
Yeah.
I love this card. I love the art. It's like one of my favorite. I know you were laughing at me when I said this one of my favorite arts.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And I feel bad about that now, but I still stand by it.
And one thing that's cool is they go from 2 rollerblades to 3. I haven't seen the unique, so I'm assuming it's got 4.
Oh, I haven't either now that I think about it. That's interesting. I'll have to look at that.
So that I think it's very easy to use in multiple settings, and I think that's useful for here.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it is on its stats 3/3. You get 3/3 worth of resources. The difference is you get to split that extra resource where you need it.
Yeah. Okay. Next, we've got Theseus. Here's the thing: the unique artwork of this is so much better. The one thing I don't like about this card is all of his chest hair. That's the one thing I feel weird about.
He looks like Gandalf.
Gandalf the Buff.
Not Gandalf, sorry. But what's the Street Fighter character that used to have this is the Russian guy.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Chest.
I know who you're talking.
Zangief.
Yeah, that's right.
Zangief.
Yeah, Zangief. Ugh. When did Theseus get so buff, man? He looks so good. So, okay, Theseus is at 8/8. But hear me out. He's 8/8 for 6 all. Scout 3, return target character to its owner's hand whenever it's played. And from reserve, the common is gain 2 boost. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The rare has the exact same hand and reserve cost, has the exact same stats. Scout 4, and instead it sends target character to reserve when it's played from anywhere, and from reserve it has gained 3 boosts.
Yes, much more friendly as a reserve, as a rare.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Achati is the only person who's going to be playing this. That's my opinion. I think Achati is the only person who's going to be playing this. The scout cost, though, is pretty good. The scout is in the rare specifically. I think the scout specifically in the rare is the only thing that's worth it about this card.
So the way I look at this is, if you wanted to have removal and removal that will cost you 4 resources, you might as well put a Theseus in if your removal is a rare slot, because you have the option, should you have enough resources, to play it out as a character
Yeah.
or play it out as a spell or the equivalent of a spell. But all in all, my thoughts are this is quite expensive to play. Outside of a Chardy, I do not see many people using this.
Agree. Hard agree. Okay.
That's a cool looking card.
Yeah,
though.
it looks phenomenal. Like I said, the rare, like the unique artwork
Mm.
is so good. It's so much better. Okay. Next on thing, we've got Grems.
How did you not pick this?
Again,
as
I
one
only
of the
had
best
5.
cards?
I only had
Okay.
5.
I think the Grems is among the top 3 cards across all factions, all types of the whether it's common, rare, or out of
Yeah,
faction.
everybody's gonna be playing this. Everybody.
Now, the
if I
only
could,
thing that's go ahead.
I'd play a deck that's only Grems. That's all Grems.
The only thing that's difficult is you will telegraph when you're going to use this, but you could also use it as an intimidation tactic.
Mm-hmm.
They know it's coming. Do they want to play their permanent or not?
Yeah.
The difference here with the Grems and others is you may not have a permanent to sacrifice to create the brass bug, unless you use this as very late in the game to basically win a side to get an extra 2/2/2 in stats.
Yeah. Agree. It's a fun card, and I want more of the Grems. I want to see more Grems and more stuff. This is so good.
It's so versatile.
Yeah. I
So
love the
versatile.
Grems. Okay. And then we get to the card that I think is on everybody's mind. The
how
Hunger.
did we none of us I honestly felt it wasn't going to be that good, but within the first week of its being released, people were using this for everything and wiping the board.
Yeah. This is kind of nutty. So the Hunger, this is the rare version specifically. 8/6 for 3 all. When played from hand, discard all other cards in play or in reserve. And whenever a card goes to the discard pile, I gain a boost. Now here's where this gets interesting, right? Here's where this gets really fun. The interesting thing about this is that ability is not based on the hand cost or on the play from hand ability. So if you, whenever, forever, as long as this card is on the field, whenever a card goes to the discard, it gains a boost.
Correct.
That is kind of stupid.
Exactly. So if you play this and then you play a spell afterwards that has fleeting, it gains a boost.
Yeah.
If your opponent plays something as a spell, he gains a boost.
Now, see,
Or
this is where I
anything that
think
goes
this would be
fleeting.
fun. Playing this with Encore.
Hmm.
That would be
And
fun.
then it stays there. Anchor this.
Yeah.
In one way or another. I actually think this is great. The other one to use it is the part you didn't read is if I'm fleeting.
Oh,
I
yes,
gain
correct.
gigantic.
Sorry. I should have mentioned that.
Which is if you end up having the which is the card that gives you 1 boost but makes everything fleeting.
Arcolano?
Yeah, if you use Arcolano Milk, play it on the Arcolano Milk side, it gains a boost. Arcolano Milk goes away. You get another boost because it's gone away, plus every other card that goes away.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that people didn't realize with this, or they didn't visualize its impact, is if you're playing against a deck that is very landmark / permanent heavy,
Mm-hmm.
it removes all of that as well for no cost.
Yeah.
We've been talking about permanent removal being about 4 resources, a heavy character removal being about 4 resources. You're getting everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think here's where this gets really fun too, is that this with technical boots.
Mm-hmm.
This would be fun with technical boots. Because here's the thing, if I don't care about resupplying, this technical boots and Encore have the possibility to be a very good combo. So
Yeah.
I don't know. This card is, I think it's growing on me a lot more. So
Yeah, the ones that I've seen it now, it's even been used in Kojo. play very
That's
low,
horrifying.
play your 1 and 2 cost cards, and then play this out.
I don't like that.
Um,
I don't like that at all.
so
Okay, moving right along from whatever this is. We've got the mess. The mess is another construction. It's 2/2, and it has whenever a character leaves your expedition, it gains a food counter. And you can spend 3 of the food counters in the common to resupply. And in the rare, it says when a non-token character leaves your expedition, it gains a food counter. Spend 4 to draw a card. I think everybody's going to be playing the rare.
The only problem with the rare, it's a non-token character. Of course, you want to draw more than you want to resupply, but you have to have non-token. Whereas if you use the common, you're almost guaranteed. Assuming you're using Kojo, Kojo gives you Buddha token every second turn. You're almost triggering this every day, where you have the ability of resupply.
Yeah,
it is incredibly strong in Kojo. It is incredibly strong in Basira, but more so Kojo. I don't think these cards were made for Achadi because they want to play more expensive cards.
Yeah. And Achadi gets the card draw off of himself anyway.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if I would personally use the rare slot for the chance of drawing. I may. But I think from a perspective of being able to play this, one of the things that I saw in the tournaments that I've recently viewed and commentated on, the mess is getting a lot of play.
Really?
In Kojo, yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's fun to hear, at least.
Because card draw / resupply, which is the semi-card draw, is so hard in Bravos, and it's so easy to trigger. It's much harder to trigger the 4 food counters to draw a card than it is to do 3 as a resupply.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, moving on. We have finished.
And that is it.
That is the end of Bravos.
That has taken us to the end of Bravos.
Goodness me. I forget how long. We say we're going to take a little bit of time, and then we always just end up talking strategy, which is not bad. But goodness me, oh my.
But about an hour, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I think
it's on curve for us, on brand.
It is very on brand. No, I think Bravos is one of the biggest winners from this deck, from this season.
I think Achadi is one of the biggest winners.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Achadi and Golrang are 2 of the biggest winners for this. And we'll get into that when we get to Ordis, but I think you're right. I think Bravos came away very on top.
Awesome.
A lot of the underrated factions I feel like came on top. Not only that, like underrated factions, but a lot of the underrated heroes specifically.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Axiom. I hope they do increase their presence in the top of the decks, but
I do too.
Not yet in week 1.
I've been seeing a lot of annoying Axiom stuff, man.
Now, as we said with these are our impressions. What we hope is whether you use our thoughts and build upon them or completely disregard them, I hope that you're at least letting it soak in as an alternate way, because the person that you are playing against may think like us. So any good information is going to be better to help you prepare either way.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is like I want to be able to like hopefully like talking about this is kind of like soundboarding ideas. Is so like, with the ideas that we come up with, maybe then that'll like spark something in your head to be like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Because I know that people have said that before. It's like, oh, this has really been helping me with my deck building. So I'm really excited to see. Let's see who we got next. We got Muna next. No, Lyra next.
Yes.
Ooh, Lyra.
And I thought Fen would be the biggest winner, and as we go through it, but I don't see much.
I have thoughts.
We'll find out. We're going to find out.
I have thoughts. I have very big thoughts. So,
all right,
everybody. Until then, just remember, take it easy. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to people around you. But until then, we'll absolutely see you on the next one.
Hasta luego.
Ciao.